Reddit, what are some of your crazy middle school stories? Story 1. Once in 8th grade, a few friends and I made a Congo line in the hallway after class. After about 100 feet walking in a line, it all turned to shit. We all fell over into a heap of people on the ground. Then a girl who had been walking behind us ran up and straight up kicked this kid in the ribs. A teacher immediately brought us to the principal's office. They made us all file an incident report and all the jazz. They were going to give us all suspensions. Except the girl who kicked the kid. She cried crocodile tears. They were even going to not let us go to the school dance that night. We then insisted that they refunded our tickets for the dance. The school was too cheap to refund our tickets, so they told us we were free to go. TLDR got in trouble for making a Congo line in school. School was too cheap to refund dance tickets. Got off scot-free. Story 2. My friend and I got followed by a creepy guy on the metro when I was in grade 8. Basically, it was 4 out of 20. We were both pretty high, and our guards were down. We sit down and start eating the McDonald's we just bought. This dude in front of us, 40-ish years old, fairly normal looking, starts talking to us. At first, he was just asking about food, what kind of thing we normally eat if our moms normally cook dinner. In hindsight, it was creepy from the start, but we were young and high. Eventually, the questions start getting more and more personal, and the alarm bells start to ring that I nudged my friend, and we got off at a random stop. He followed us, up the stairs, through the turnstile. At this point, we were running, and he was too. We just managed to slip into the next metro car while the doors were closing. Had we been there a second later, who knows what would have happened next. TLDR got high in the 8th grade, almost got molested. Story 3. In 6th grade, we had wooden bleachers in our gymnasium. Every morning before first period, we'd have to meet up in the gym before we entered our initial classroom. Well, one morning I decided to goof off and slide across the bleachers on my butt. I did this a few times successfully, and then on the 3rd or 4th time I slid, a giant splinter from the bleacher burrowed its way deep into my thigh. I was wearing shorts. It was excruciating, obviously. But, weird part, I didn't tell anyone. I went through the whole goddamn day with a 2-inch piece of wood lodged in my thigh. I guess I thought I'd get in trouble for goofing off, and I didn't want to speak up. Fast forward to that night. I had to show my mom because it hurt so bad. At this point, the wooden splinter had actually gone so far into my thigh that the sharp point was wedged into a different part of my skin. You could see the initial hole it had gone in, and then the tip of it trying to come out another entry. It was horrifying. My mom literally freaked out, and her and my dad iced my leg and actually had to cut a new tiny hole into my leg to get the wood out. I was a special child. Story 4. In 6th or 7th grade, I had this girl constantly bother me. I have no idea what I did or why she decided to bother me, so I decided to turn it around one day. I actually sat right behind her, and I have no idea why I did it, but I just began cussing her out. Like little things, but I was... So, she tries to tell the teacher what I am doing, and I kid you not, the teacher looked at me and said, "Are you kidding me?" Milo Blue 12 would never say those things. I was shocked that the teacher defended me. So how did she respond? She slapped me, and I never saw her in our class again. Oops. Fast forward to 8th grade, it was the worst time that I got bullied, and one day I just got pissed, so did the most minor type of revenge that I could think of, basically took her stuff. I had gotten to class early, so another kid and I separated her. Stuff into 3 piles. One pile went in the trash, another pile went on top of a closet type thing, and the third went out the 3rd-story window. Needless to say, she was pissed, but I don't regret anything. Story 5. Had a sub in computer applications. My friend and I have been reading up on CMD, batch files, and how to make viruses. We decided to first put a virus that would open and close our disk drive. We were originally going to send the file to the sub's computer, but decided not to. So, the file starts running, and we start acting like we have no ideas what is going on. The sub then comes over being all concerned and says to not use the computer. We then stop the virus and put on a virus that would blue screen the computer. So, we put it on and blue screens the computer. Sub comes over and asks what happened. We act like we do not know. Sub left a note for our teacher. I think the sub was freaking out, I don't know. Later that week, our teacher gets back and has a serious talk with my friend. I did not get in trouble at all. Our teacher was pretty awesome, so nothing really happened. If you guys are interested, I have more things that I got away with. By the way, I was in 8th grade. Story 6. My brother's class took all the phonograph record from music classroom and laid them on top of the radiators, melting them, which of course made the music teacher cry. For some reason or other, it was like a traditional badge of honor to make the music livid enough to stomp out of the room. Bonus points for making him cry. And despite that the principal's office was nearly just across the hall, he never seemed to come to the music teacher's aid. By the time I was in middle school, we still had to sing along with those same records, the ones that were somehow salvageable yet still oddly warped, and of course had our own versions of the lyrics that at times likely would make a sailor blush. Can't recall at the moment what our class crowning glory was, but in some ways it was more like a puppet theater or poking a caged animal with sticks and other things to see how it would react than any resemblance to a music class. Story 7. In one of our ELA classes, we had to go down to the library to learn about different search engines. I can't remember why, but I think it had something to do with looking for reliable information for research. Seems like a pretty stupid idea now. Anyways, the librarian is explaining the different search engines to us that provide more accurate information and ask us to search something. Me being the kid I searched iPhone because I was interested in that kind of stuff. For some reason, images popped up, and the one that caught my eye was of a topless girl holding an iPhone and smiling. I was in 7th grade, so I obviously knew about this stuff. Right when I saw it, probably 3 seconds after searching, I immediately Alt plus F4 D, hoping that no one saw it. I see movement in the corner of my eye, and I notice now that my teacher was sitting right next to me. Shit. Instead of her asking me to leave or getting yelled at, she just gets up and leaves the library. All of a sudden, I hear my teacher laughing so hard that she has to be crying. Everyone looks where she went, but she is out of sight. The bell rung a couple minutes later, and we never discussed it since then, but later that day my friends told me that she warned them about searching on the search engines. Good times.